Hello, this is Dylan Miller on Daily What's Known, Google Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, or iHeartRadio. This is Dylan Miller on Daily What's Known. Alright, today's going to be a double, obviously, because I didn't do one yesterday. Apologize for that. Okay. So, alright. So on Sunday, the NFL Top 100 was released. And, fans, even though players vote on it, fans never like it, And I think some players don't like it either because obviously they don't have full control. They just vote. They're only one vote. They're not. There's a lot of players, have to chip in on this. And no, Josh Allen is not the 13th best player. He's top 10. Mahomes is not the 8th best player. He's probably top 5. So those two are an easy no. Putting the back-to-back MVP at number 3 is a little sketchy, but I can get behind that. Brady at number 1 is not a surprise. He clearly he's well-respected around the league, and for good reason. I would not put him at number 1 best player for 2022, but whatever the players say, man. I'm not on the field with them. The players are the ones. I say this about, The Athletic is based on coaches and executives around the league. That tier list of quarterbacks, they had Aaron Rodgers at number 1. I get behind that because they're the ones that they watch close. They watch closer than we do. All I do is I look at stats. I watch games. But I'm not on the field with them at the time. I don't know exactly what's going down. Personally, I would have put Aaron Donald at number 1 because, like I said, I think the top 100 is more about, who is consistently great on Sundays. I don't think anyone is more consistently great every Sunday than Aaron Donald is. I think he has the most great games. I think it's hard to remember the last time he had a bad game. So Aaron Donald will probably be number 1 for me this year, but, I really don't have a say. So, yes, there's a lot of disagreements, but it's not up to me. So I think I've talked about how Tom Brady has been weird lately, especially the last 6 months. A year removed from winning the Super Bowl, you seem more committed. You seem as committed as you've ever been. Damn, can't speak tonight. But yeah, he seems more committed than he's ever been. With the Super Bowl, he got far this year. He lost to the Rams, but another successful year. A month later, he retires. Shocking, but he is 44, so it's not too shocking. But it's then he unretires and joins the Bucs again. And so he seems okay. Maybe he was just maybe it was just like a rash decision, I guess, or whatever. Maybe he thought it was a mistake. Maybe he just came back. But then he does something Tom Brady never does. He takes an 11-day absence in the Bahamas. Now, you would think he would come back from that vacation. I mean, there was a report that said it wasn't a vacation. I don't know what it was. But he came back in a press conference and looked beaten down. Tired, miserable. He looked and sounded miserable. He did not look good. Yeah, he says there's a lot of crap going on right now. That's the deal for a lot of people at Brady's age, but it's never been the deal with Brady. The guy who ages in reverse probably has better stats in his 40s than he does in his 20s. He ages in reverse. He's just not a normal guy. And he's never even been close. So it's kind of weird that out of nowhere he's one of us. That just doesn't make sense to me. There's never been a lot of crap going on in Tom Brady's life. There's never been anything more important than football in his life. And he made it clear when he retired that he didn't want to be there. He's got some sort of problem. He's not as committed as he was, clearly. Because he's done two things out of character this year. He retired, and he took a leave of absence. And he took 11 days off at a weird time, too. Because it's not like he has everything figured out with his team. His O-line is literally busted up. Everyone on that O-line is injured. Or retired. He has to be at practice, He has to be at practice patching up that, O-line and getting used to being covered by those kind of guys. He decides to step away. Which is weird, because no athlete, you can argue Michael Jordan, I guess, but other than Michael Jordan, there's no debate, no competition on who's been more dedicated to their sport than Tom Brady. It's just, why did he show up? Because he can look beaten down and tired after a long season. He looks like that heading into a season and after a week and a half in the Bahamas. Why does he look like he got the crap beat out of him? And I may be talking too much about his appearance right now, but I think his appearance may be indicative on how he feels. I think he just feels miserable. Here's the thing. We all know the Dolphins' rumors were true because Brady didn't deny it. We know the Raiders' rumors were true because Gronk is the one that brought them up. It's weird because I don't know, he's just sounding like he's just sounding like hell. It's just weird. I don't know. Say what you will about Aaron Rodgers, but he seems right now all about enjoying the process and finding joy. Brady did not look like someone that just came back from a week and a half in the Bahamas. There's something he's going through. There's something he's going through. Obviously, there's been all these theories, plastic surgery. Doubt it. They had that masked singer theory. I don't buy any of them. If you're a public figure, that's one thing. But if you're the GOAT, the best to ever do it, and you have to go to the press and you look like that, there's gonna be people that have questions about that. That's... I don't know, this is just... It's just really out of character for this guy. Brady has always been ready to go, always dedicated. It's just, aging in reverse, always dedicated. Never takes a day off, He started the season taking 11 days off. It's just, it is odd to me. I really can't. I can't buy into the Bucks much this year because it's like, I don't know. Brady just doesn't look good right now. All right, let's shift to a new topic since I talked about that for 11 minutes now. Okay. We're going to talk some college football. Something I rarely do on the show. Northwestern beat Nebraska 31-28. I think you guys have known. There's what was his name, Corn Nation or something, on YouTube, who, just went on a rant about, what happened in the game. It's just, I wish I could pull it up. I do. But I don't have the video with me, but he nailed the analysis. He said, I am filming this on a toilet because that's where the crap belongs. That was, oh my god. They gave up two score leads that game. They just gave the game they gave that game away. It's a make or break year. It was the biggest game of the weekend with all those transfers. Make or break year for Scott Frost. I don't know why he did an onside kick. You're up 11 in the third quarter. Just close it out. Don't. I don't know. Just close the game out. Don't waste any time. Don't go for an onside kick when you don't need it. Gave the game away. And everyone except for Scott Frost knew that was a bad move. There was no one else. There was no one on that team. No fan that watched that game that was not aware of how bad that call was. Except for Scott Frost. Scott Frost is the only one that did not think of that. So for the Bengals Rams, let's shift to this. The Bengals Rams fight with Aaron Donald. You gotta think about this real quick. The Bengals have thought about that Super Bowl loss every day since February. That's for 6 going on 7 months that they have thought about that loss. And now you're putting them in a joint practice with the team that took away their dream. That was like... they took away all their chances of winning the Super Bowl. Sure, they were the runner-up. That's a very hollow victory you're taking in the Super Bowl. It's... yes, it's great to be in the Super Bowl to begin with. It's... the way I see it, it's better to have 2 Super Bowl appearances and 2 wins than have 20 Super Bowl appearances and 2 wins. Because at least when you got there, you made it count. You got there 20 times, awesome. But you lost 18 of them. Like, come on now. Eventually, you can't just be happy about making it far. Yeah, so I mean, the Rams, I'm high on them this year. I think, ironically, I think they're a Super Bowl appearance team. I think the Bills are a better team right now. Alright, let's shift to the Eagles, another team I'm high on this year. It's crazy. We thought it's kind of like the Thunder when they had Chris Paul. We thought they were going to rebuild that year. They traded Westbrook, they traded Paul George, and Chris Paul just took them to the playoffs. Unfortunately, they got rid of Chris Paul right away. So, that... But, the Eagles, we also thought they were going to rebuild last year. They had Jalen Hurts, a younger quarterback. They had a new coach. Just a new system. We thought they were rebuilding. They went 9-8, but they also benched their starters in the last game because they already clinched the playoffs. So they were 9-7 in the games that they played their starters. That's pretty damn good. And now, Devontae Smith's going to be better. Jalen Hurts is going to be better. Nick Sirianni I think he has developed a system. This is a team. They have a team. I think they're the only viable team in the NFC East right now. I don't think the Cowboys even come close. Obviously, I've told you, I got, from top to bottom, Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Washington. It's... I think the Eagles are just... I think they have a great future. I really do. I think if they play it right, they could possibly, the year after this one, they could be a playoff contender. Because right now the people that come into the playoffs from the NFC East are just, easy first round exits. I think next year the Eagles have a good chance. So here's a thought I was having, actually, about Nebraska. Think about it. They fired Bo Pelini, and he was 67-27. You know what that win percentage is? It's 71%. They fired a guy winning 71% of his games. Scott Frost is 15-30. That's a third of the games. He's only won 33%. He's significantly worse than Bo Pelini was. Significantly. I just don't see... this is really... It's a lot like Daniel Jones, where he is right now. He hasn't showed any promise, but this is the year where he can expand his career or pretty much just become a free agent or get traded to another team. Scott Frost hasn't been good, but if he can pick it up this year, he has a chance at expanding his time at Nebraska. But I think, based on that onside kick call yesterday, it's not looking good. I don't know. I don't see how he could possibly patch things up after this terrible start. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he can do something. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the Niners restructuring Jimmy G's contract. So, the non-trade clause, pretty much, because right now it just seems he's locked up for the year. All the non-trade clause means is if another team wants to trade him, he gets to sit in on those conversations. Like, he has a say, on whether or not he wants to be traded now. That's a no-trade clause. Doesn't mean they can't trade him now. Yeah. But right now it just seems, he doesn't have a spot where he can start, and the Niners didn't get the package they were looking for. So they signed the guy who... It's crazy. The guy who started the NFC Championship, the guy who led the Niners to an NFC Championship, is backing up a guy that's never played a game. It's crazy to say. It's just, Lance has a lot of pressure, because of COVID, he hasn't played much in the last 3 years. And he's been up and down at camp. It's just... But this is a Super Bowl roster, so it's like, if he can't lead them at least to the playoffs, then it's a bad look for him. And... anytime he makes a mistake and goes back to the bench, he's going to sit next to the guy who has led this team to a Super Bowl and NFC Championship the last 2 times he's been healthy. It's a lot of pressure for him. I'm going to try not to be too hard. I'm probably going to do a lot of what I did with Tua. We don't know much about him. It's his first year. Although it's kind of a big difference because Tua did not have the roster that Trey Lance has. Trey Lance has a significantly better roster. But if Lance is ever struggling and they want to throw Jimmy G in, it's not bad to have him. It's just, that's a lot for him to take in. Anytime I throw a pick, I'm going to go right back, sit on the bench next to the guy that has had tremendous success with this team. Alright. Okay. So back to... I gotta go back to Nebraska, I'm sorry. They single-handedly gave Nebraska that game on a silver platter, man. That was pretty bad. You're going for an onside kick. When you're winning the game. They literally blew that so badly. They went for an onside kick, which I don't want to sound too much of a nerd right now, but I am. It has a 24% success rate. The onside kick. But look at this. Look at this. It was 28-17 going into the third quarter. 28-24 when it ended. you go for an onside kick when you're in the oh my god. I can't comprehend that. I can't. There is no way to put a positive spin on that, or even make that make sense. That's just stupid. Okay. Back to the Niners. The Niners, I had them high this year, but that's is heavily dependent on if Trey Lance. The thing with Trey Lance is he doesn't even have to be that good. Jimmy G was not the most impressive quarterback ever. Jimmy G was not a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers or a Patrick Mahomes. He's not even a Baker Mayfield. That's actually... Okay, you know what? It doesn't matter. He's not exactly the best quarterback in the league. You can argue top 15. I would get behind that, but anything higher than top 15, I'm a no on. Like, he's not top 10. He's not top 12. But last year, he was okay. He had a high completion percentage. That's what Trey Lance has to get good at. He has to complete his passes. Jimmy G had a 68% completion rate last year. 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns. That's not a lot to ask. And the year before, 27 touchdowns, 13 picks. That's when they made the Super Bowl. And his completion percentage was 69%. So if he just has a high completion percentage, then he's all set. He doesn't have to be flawless and not throw any interceptions. He just has to be who Jimmy Garoppolo was. That's all. And that roster with Kyle Shanahan, that is very much a Super Bowl team. So, okay. Jeannie Buss, I've never really seen as the best owner in the NBA. Not really top 5 or top 10. She called Russell Westbrook, quite literally called him the best player on the Lakers last year. First of all, he wasn't. Let's start off with that. And then she said, oh, never mind, he was the most consistent. You don't mix those two up. That's not... There's no chance you mix that up. This was her quote. All I can say is that, from my point of view, Westbrook was our best player last year. He played pretty much every game, showed up, worked hard. I would have loved to have seen him with this team. Would have looked like if they stayed healthy. Okay, so you quite literally just said, and I quote, from my point of view, Westbrook was our best player last year. She then walked back. The word I should have used was consistent. He played 78 games last season. That's your reasoning? You played 78 games? So he's the most consistent? Maybe I'll go out for the NBA. I'll play 78 games, so I guess I'm the most consistent then. She said that's one of the most respected NBA reporters. He also averaged the fewest points he's averaged since 2010 and shot below 30%. She said this is Sam Amick of The Athletic. Who confuses best with most consistent? Especially when you're the owner of the team. You know, goodness to you, he may have been the biggest disappointment last year. Like, if someone were to say that on social media, Westbrook was the best player on the Lakers last year, I would think they're a troll looking for attention. She said this to The Athletic. You knew what you were doing. There's no way you confuse that. Confuse those two. All right, back to the Brady press conference. I just don't understand how you come back looking that miserable. I really don't. Now, I did mention earlier that the theories that were coming out about why he looked the way he did were not believable. You know, the Masked Singer, no. Plastic surgery, I don't think so. But there actually was a believable theory I heard on the Jim Rome show today. That it's possible that him and Giselle are getting a divorce and had to take time to talk about it. You know, that is more believable than the plastic surgery or Masked Singer. You know, that would explain why it looks the way it does. I mean, divorce can kill you. You know, it can have a big effect on you. You know, and it would make sense. It makes more sense. I doubt he got... Because it wasn't even just how he appeared. It's how he sounded. You know, he was like, 45 years old, there's a lot of shit going on. Okay. You don't sound like that because of plastic surgery. I don't know, I just don't see how an 11-day absence can make him that miserable. Alright, we're going to close up the show with some Baker Mayfield talk. So a sideline reporter, Cynthia Freyland, not sure if I pronounced that last name right, but she said Baker had choice words to describe the matchup versus the Browns. I'm going to F them up. Okay, of course he said that. You know why he said that? Because they F'd him over. You know, they dropped him. They really did him wrong. They dropped him for a guy who had 24 sexual assault cases. And who was very likely going to be suspended, but they didn't care. They just traded for him because they didn't want Baker Mayfield on the team anymore. And Baker Mayfield's always been like this. You know? I mean, it seems he's changed a bit. He's less aggressive towards the media versus what he was like in Cleveland. You know, the worst thing is they shipped him off for a conditional 5th-round pick. This is Baker Mayfield. You know, I'm not saying he's a great quarterback. I'm saying he's like I'll say he's top 15, top 20, I guess. You know, I would argue top 15. He's not a bad quarterback. He's okay. An okay quarterback doesn't just go for a 5th-round pick. That's the kind of package I can see, like, maybe Jared Goff going for or something like that. Or, what other quarterbacks aren't that good? Let's see. You know, maybe a Drew Lock or Geno Smith. You know, or maybe a Daniel Jones. I don't know. I'm probably speaking too soon. Or a Marcus Mariota, you know? Any of those guys, I could see going for a 5th round pick, not Baker Mayfield. So considering Baker's personality and what the Browns did to him, of course he wants to F them up. I would want to as well. Like, really? I led you to the playoffs for the first time since what year? How long was your playoff drought before I got there? And then I got you to the playoffs. I struggled for about a year. I got traded off for a guy, for at the time a potential criminal, and now a guy who's suspended for 12 and 11 games. That's how little they think of me after I led them their first playoff. Their first playoff appearance. So your first playoff appearance in like 20 years, and then you ship me off for a massage-addicted Deshaun Watson. Alright, so that's the end of my rant for today. This is Dylan Miller on Daily Stone. Google Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. This is Dylan Miller on Daily Stone. Have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow.